What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another podcast with some extra guests today. We are happy to be back. I know it's been a little bit. Looking to go over the awesome tournament we had this past weekend, talk about how each of our experiences were, some of the awesome side events we got to play in, and then also just kind of discuss Set 7 meta as a whole. But first, I'm going to pass it off around the room here. So let me get it over to Brian. Brian, how you doing?
Dude, fantastic, man. Not only did I get to go back to South Florida, hang out with all my friends and family, basically, but got to compete in the 10 case. Didn't do that great, but even then, dude, I walked away super plus. Won a raffle, won a side event. It was incredible. And we'll get into it after, but the crazy turnaround that I got to observe from Friday when I stopped in to Saturday when the event
Yes.
started, I was blown away how far we got. Like at the store,
Yeah.
every other month, it's like something's changed. It was incredible. And then on the back end, I got to drive up to Orlando and spent 3 days essentially at Disney. Took
The
the
real
kids.
blessing.
Yeah, man. Took
Oh,
the
that's
kids there. They loved it. I got to crack a trove at Disney Springs, pulled the Scrooge. So all around good times, and finally drove home yesterday. So,
Nice.
and I am ready to get back when the next event is announced.
After that summation, we got a guest I gotta get to too. We got two guests we gotta get to before we go to Joey.
Yep.
As he just slid right in here, let's go over to Hector. Hector, how was your weekend? How's your week been? What do you think of Set 7?
Set 7 sucks. Weekend sucked. Uh, weekend wasn't too bad. The tournament, we had the 10 case tournament. That was pretty good. Had a lot of fun. Was a little, upset at my performance. I still finished decent, but got close. But maybe next time. Set 7 looks to be a little oppressive at first, but
Mhm.
as the meta defines, I think it'll be obviously we fall into like triangle meta where you probably got blue steel into red blue and X other decks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get more thoughts. I have your deck list pulled up. We're gonna go through more of the tournament run itself. But Devin, dude, it's a pleasure to have you on here. Obviously, we have the affiliation going on now, so that's a big thing that we had last week. But Devin, what's your perspective from this past weekend from the event and everything?
I mean, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me and allowing me to be on this podcast. This is actually fun. I want to do more of this. Hector left. Hector, man, I need you guys to set up at the house.
Get your boy.
Yeah, set up at the house this weekend. First and foremost, I mean, I love the hum every time I walk through those doors
Mhm.
that early in the morning. You have
Mhm.
no idea how it just gets like the adrenaline going. No, I mean, this weekend was a great start off to the new set. I think that this set was definitely needed. I think that it's a breath of fresh air to finally see Blue Steel come into the mix and do what it does. And I'm a little upset. I don't want to talk about this whole Oswald situation because I have a little.
Mm,
Anyway,
Oh,
I feel some type of way. But other than that, it was amazing. It was awesome.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
happy to turn out.
Yeah, it was incredible. Before we go fully into the weekend festivities, Joey, how you doing, man? How's your week been?
doing good. Very excited. Obviously, the tournament was a huge success. Did decent. Had some good side events that I did well in. Very excited to be in this new set. Get some new things to talk about, new cards to play with. Obviously, the big bad is Blue Steel right now, but like I keep talking to everyone, we're not even a week into the meta. The set's not
Yeah.
even been released for more than a week. Everyone's doom and gloom, which they have right to be, but we'll get more into that later. But yeah, just super excited about this set. Super excited about Larcana right now because everything's new and fresh, and yeah, looking forward to talking about more about this.
Yeah, I obviously was a great event this past weekend. I think I share in the clinching that happened as we're sitting down for the first round. Freedom Gaming crew, and Devin's like, "Oh, and by the way, our new affiliated people, Freedom Gaming, bounty on them as well. And I was like,
Oh god.
So I want to actually apologize about that. I wanted a group then. Like, the thing is that I wasn't planning on it, and my perspective, there's so much going on, and all that's improv. I don't have a script or anything. I don't even think about what I'm going to say. So I wanted to give a little pressure to the boys.
Yeah, no,
pressure.
it was great.
That was not
there
like
for sure.
that
But
is not
man-
a little pressure.
Yeah.
I almost gave away a Tesla, man. This is not pressure. You guys are sad about your. Damn, the bounty was crazy. I'm over here sweating bullets every round, man.
The look on Hector's face. I think we have it on camera. I don't know if we have we have a Vision. His name's AJ. His name, he goes by Vision. We have him on staff, and all he does is go around and he records. And I believe we have a TikTok with Hector's face when I'm saying.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
We're gonna do a little. We're gonna meme it. Can you face those prices when I put the face on you, bro? Oh my god.
Hector's out here taking like a stomach medication because every single round, he'd get up and be like, "All right, this time I didn't give away X amount, right?" And then not only that, but like every single time that Devin steps up to do the announcements before like everything kicks off, the crowd, like it's like you guys mentioned, the hum is already there, but then you have, especially for newcomers who haven't seen it happen in person yet, like, okay, bounty on this guy, bounty on this guy.
They're
you
like,
get a
what is
bounty,
happening?
you get a bounty.
It's like Oprah.
And people are like,
it is
a box, 2 boxes, and then get to Hector. Oh, you 2-0 this guy, you get a case, and people are like losing their minds. Like everybody wants to play the people with the bounties, and I think it just adds that much more excitement. It is such a great like little tidbit to throw in, and people eat it up, man. It is awesome.
It's actually great because people tend to want to play the full tournament just because now there's so many bounties. There's a chance that you play one of them, you test your skills against us, and if you take us down, you still take a good amount of prize support. Like the person that beat me, he took more prize support than I did.
And so that's the point, right? Not to get too much deep into it, but coming from a space where I have a perspective that's a little different than all these other, maybe from someone else, where I get to see like all the, I guess, the challenges we may face for our locals amongst a spread of different card games, right? So one of which is being that we have some of the best players that are curated in South Florida, and that's by history, not just SSG, but we're just known for really good card players. So when they come to our locals, a lot of these newer players or a lot of the players that aren't as competitive, they don't get the opportunity to really take advantage of winning prizing. Maybe because they don't even because a lot of them, they don't have the ability to play as much as we do. The point is that it gives everyone a chance to walk away with something, right?
And
I know your big thing. I was gonna say, I know having conversations with you a bunch, your big thing is iron sharpens iron in that building, right? So you want these guys to be playing at as high a pressure as they can. So the people on your team, your boys, right? Like the people you're affiliated with, whoever it is, you want them to play under that pressure. So that when they really are playing at those national stages or as tippity top as it can be, it's nothing to them because they've been playing under pressure all the time. So awesome strategy.
His big thing is to stress us out. That's what it is.
I love it.
So when we get to the big stage, it's not stressful. It's just another local.
Listen, and for a lot of players, that again, I just try to go based off of my experience. I don't have the accolades like Mr. Hector over here, younger Yu-Gi-Oh protege. But no, I don't have the experience. But what I do have is, like I said, not to keep sounding redundant, but I become a lot in the poker world. A lot of tournaments, and it's a real thing not having that type of exposure to being in one of those like niche scenarios to where that we call it the final table, heads up. There's not a lot of places you can play heads up with somebody where something's on the line. It's something on the line, right? So, like I said, like playoff football, playoff basketball, playoff baseball is different from the regular season, right? So,
No, I love it, and we're getting a lot of comments about Hector being on stream to answer a lot of questions. This is the Hector that we mention all the time when a new guest comes on and says, "Hey, am I on before Hector?" So that meme is being buried now. Hector finally made it on the podcast, so we
I'd like
can.
to thank everyone for making this happen, allowing me to be on the podcast. Like, it's a big step for me because, like Devin says, I feel blessed. I was told in 2023 I was going to be on this podcast, and now it's 2025. We finally made it happen. We made it happen, and to all the haters that said I wasn't going to be on a podcast, finally somebody took a chance on me, and I am grateful.
Yeah,
2 years in the
that-
making, baby. Let's go.
yeah, exactly. Before we go into some of the deck list and what won the event and stuff on the 8 case, or the 10 case, I'm sorry, I do want to talk about the side event. I know this is a little bit out of order because it happened after the tournament was over, but Joey and I, again, and I know Devin, when we had our interview, I talked to you about this. Like, SSG just sucks you in, right? The tournament was over, and 3 or 4 hours later, we're still there just playing cards, hanging out. And Justin, one of the SSG guys, the employees there, was like, "I'm going to run this event. It's a higher limit, if you will, tournament
High stakes.
knockout. Yeah, high stakes knockout round, right? Eight player pod. If you lose, you're done. A little higher entry, but if you win, you're going to pick 4 enchanteds, and I'll show you the pool that you're picking from. And I think there was 10 cards, right, Joey?
Yep.
I don't want to see
Yeah,
it.
so 10.
So,
Yeah.
so,
So they were random, and as he's getting the cards together, he goes over to Devin and says, "Hey, I need your Japanese Elsa." As he's getting them together, so as he's showing us these cards, they are coming out of Devin's deck to be able to play this event. So just trying to kind of tell you guys the kind of things that can happen at one of these events. Joey, go ahead and tell us your experience. I'm sure some of you guys might have seen this video circulating the internet because it did get posted out like right away.
Well, we did have to fight Devin, though. I had to fight Devin to make sure he didn't give away an English Elsa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
just so you know, I'll let Joey speak. I was prepared to run a pod with the playset of Elsa's.
Oh my God.
Don't say that.
No, stop.
Oh.
Please.
The ability to get it in the pool, but they didn't want it. No one wanted to stay later or something.
Yeah, no, the experience was insane. They laid out all 10 cards and basically got to pick each of my 4, and then we kind of did a reveal of each. First one was, I want to say, Aurora, and then Justin revealed 2, and we're like, all right, okay. And then that next reveal was the Elsa, and everyone lost their. It was insane.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
pandemonium.
Yeah.
And
The video's
Devin's
awesome.
over there just crying in the corner because he could hear the pandemonium happening.
Having a talk with a few individuals. I've been meaning to sit down for a while, so I couldn't go witness it myself. And I'm sitting in the back, right? And all I hear is, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh." And then finally the Elsa, and you could just hear the noises and
The screams,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
It was definitely a pop off for sure. Yeah, and we signed up for the tournament, and Joey and I ended up playing in the first round, so I had a quick exit in that, but he had a quick exit in the main tournament. So let's go ahead and head into the main tournament.
Before we get into the tournament, though, the biggest shout out I think is to the judge staff. They were
Great call.
absolutely insane.
Great call.
I
Yep.
remember back when we did the first tournament, we got out of there, I want to say at like midnight, 1 o'clock. We were done, wrapped up by, I think, 10, maybe 11 at the latest.
Yeah.
Like, it was run so smooth. The team was great. The store was insane. Everyone on staff was perfect. Like, it was such a culmination of everything coming together. It was so good.
Yeah.
And we keep saying like it levels up every single event that
Seriously.
we attend. It continues to level up, and I know Joey was really big into construction in a previous job. So when Joey and I walked in on Friday to pick up some singles, and I go through the door, it used to be all the way on the left-hand side. Now it's all the way on the right-hand side. I walk through, I'm like, oh, this looks different. And then I step further in, I was like, oh my God, is this going to get done by tomorrow? Like,
There's a missing wall. There's a brand new
walls were
drywall.
knocked down, just plain brackets up. Paint needed to be done, like leveling. Kylie's coming in. He's like, hey, And I mean, the crew's all in it together, right? Like, hey, these whatnot orders need to get done. Like, the cogs are still moving. The store is still functioning at
Yep.
100%, while everybody else is doing like all these other individual jobs that like I don't think normal card stores do day to day, right? So
Yeah.
Kylie's going off to Home Depot with one of the contractors to grab paint and whatever else, and they're like, "Does this look right? Does this look right? What do we need done?" And it all like I was like, "Dude, if this comes together by tomorrow, like I believed it would." And the next day, I was like, even though I knew it was going to happen, the next day I walked in, I was like, "Holy, they managed
It
to
was
pull it off."
incredible. It
bro.
was so good.
You know
Let
what's
me add a little backstory to that. So,
Oh,
pretty much, obviously, SSG is a place that makes miracles happen. But what really happened is Devin walked in. He kind of like stumbled, hit the wall, and he's like, "This wall can't be here. It's time to move." It's like call the contractors, and it was like, "Hey, this wall has to go. We're fitting 2 more tables here. Get it done." And then within 24 hours, building
Crazy,
began, and now the shop
crazy.
is it is what it is. You know, the shop
Yeah,
is
it used to be the stream where like the stream would take place for the players was kind of out in the open with all the other tables. Now it's like the own streaming booth in the back. Everything is just done up that much more. Like every time I come back, I'm like, oh, holy! Like you don't think there's that much more to add on or that much more to change, or I'm kind of like already impressed, and then you step back into the store and you're like, what else? Just flabbergasted every single time. So job well done.
Yeah.
appreciate. You know
say
what's crazy is that half our staff were away for a One Piece event, right? And
Wow.
we have our sponsored players for these card games, and then also a lot of our staff, including our assistant manager. They were away, so we had all hands on deck. And listen, I have other, I have the experience of managing a lot of different staff, other business endeavors that I had, but the staff that we have here, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They were here until 6 in the morning,
Yep.
making sure.
Wow.
They were, if they could knock down that wall with our GC, they were willing to do it. And it's so hard to find. Forget about like employees like that. I don't even go by employees. I go by team. To find individuals like that is just absolutely insane. We're so grateful to have the staff that we have. They're my family, man. They're our family, right? So
Yeah.
they share the same vision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
awesome.
talking to Stefan. He's like, yeah, on Saturday morning, Stefan's like, yeah, I think he's like, I've been here. I was like, man, you look kind of tired. How you doing? Whatever. He's like, oh, we were here till like 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and right back it through the doors at 8:30. So kudos to you guys. I know it is not easy to pull off, and yet you guys make it happen. And there's no hiccups. It just smooth sailing for everybody attending. I know that everybody else like in the back is kind of running around and trying to string
Yeah.
everything together, but for the clientele, the people that are showing up to play, eh, I think everybody's continuously impressed when they show up to one of your events. So kudos to you
Yeah,
and
and
kudos to your team.
one thing to add with the change of the way the setup is now, for those of you that were already following SSG within their media channels, whether it be Twitch, YouTube, and whatnot, there are constant streams now happening because of the setup change. So if you aren't following them, I would make sure you're doing that. They're putting content out really every other day, if not every day. I know they do whatnot every day, but as far as actual Lorcana content has been coming out like every other day, and good content. We had a grudge match earlier this week between Joey and Wochuk. I was talking crap about how I thought Steel Song was dead, traditional Steel Song, and Chuck said, "No, it's not. I can still beat Red Blue." I said, "I don't know about that. Let's do a first to 20 with Joey and see what happens."
First to 10,
So
first to
they
10.
or first to 10, sorry. I had first to 20 on my mind because I saw Skinner in the chat. That's probably why. But yeah, so first to 10, and they couldn't even make it because it was such a marathon of an event. And Chuck did kind of prove me wrong, but that's the kind of content you're going to get. So again, if you guys are watching this right now and you're still desperate for Lorcana content, make sure you join those channels as well. Yeah, I know that was a little bit of a segue, but I wanted to get into the actual event, the 10K tournament that was really what kicked off the competitive scene for set 7. And I think we could say it kind of took it by storm. Zan and his team brought a deck that was pretty popular after the day. I don't think anyone. I think everybody knew Blue Steel was going to be good, but they weren't expecting it to be this good and this build, right? So the winning deck list was Jeremy, and again, Jeremy and Zan worked on this deck together. You're leveraging Oswald. You're playing that Blue Steel package with a lot of the cards that you just got this set with Scrooge and Tamatoa to be able to recycle those items that draw that cycle themselves. Joey, I know you got to play against Jeremy early on in the tournament. What are your thoughts on this deck list?
So when I first saw him, I want to say in round 4, which stopped my undefeated run. I didn't know what to do in game 1. He kind of he won the die roll. He dropped an Oswald on 2, and I didn't have an immediate answer. And it just kind of popped off. He got a lucky dime on turn 4, I think, off an Oswald trigger. And the deck just like did its thing so efficiently. It has really good removal. It has really good interaction early on with Bell. It's able to close out the game with a Pete by stopping your opponent from being able to interact. Like obviously Tamatoa 6, being able to get back all the items, just like everything, just the efficiency, the synergy that was going on within that deck is just insane. In game 2 on the play, I was able to interact because I kind of understood what was going on. I knew what target pieces were to hit, and then I was able to take it. And then game 3, he just opened up like a god, and it was just like Bell on 1, Oswald on 2, and I just didn't have any answer for it. I think it was again just another turn 3 dime, and I was just like, cool. And then he got a workshop out, and then I was like, all right, I'll Cusco the workshop. And then he plays a Hiram, and I don't have an answer for Hiram. And it was just like draw card after draw card after draw card after draw. And I was just like, ugh.
Now you know what it feels like to play against Red Blue. Just drawing a bunch of cards and you have to watch.
Shots fired. Hey.
I will say, I will add to that funny thing about Oswald. Many months ago, when Devin started playing, he really liked Oswald. He was like, hey, I really like this card. I want to make it work. It's such a great card. I'm like, at the moment, I don't think
there's
it's
no
like
enabler.
it's not viable. But then now with this new Tamatoa, with all these like
Blue Donald.
Blue Donald. Turn 1 Bell is extremely consistent with a Storm or a Strength. It's just it gives it a lot more reach.
I think the Bell is the big thing because it covers. Now you have a deck that not only wins the late game, because Blue's always been one of the best colors in the late game, but now you give it this tool that gives it board presence right at the start of the game. Basically having Cinderella, right, with the song package that it has. That's I think what really catapulted the deck.
Yeah. And I will add just, that day, because obviously Oswald's what got me into the game, right? I immediately got the D23s because I was so obsessed with them. But after not only watching but play testing this package, and when I say package, I'm talking about the popsicle. Even the popsicle Bell alone then you add that Tamatoa, the Tamatoas, Scrooge McDuck. You add that package to any color color. Oh my god, it's insane. It's absolutely incredible. The utilization with Bell is insane. That's what really drives it. So you take Oswald's out, Oswald could be obsolete, and you feel super ahead playing this deck, right? So it's just very interesting.
It's just because the core of the deck, it has just 8 cantrips, right? Like you have the 8 popsicles pretty much that you just turn 1, and then the Bell comes for free and replace the popsicle. It's like you did anything. A 3/3 turn 1 that buys you more time to set up your Oswald, your Tamatoas, and then imagine a deck that could actually play 3 dimes, which is and bring it out on turn 2, even turn 3. So it
wild.
It hits
even without.
But even then, it's like the hits are good and bad. Like we saw on stream, Zan missed 12 triggers,
and he still did well.
Exactly. Like I think in one of my games against Jeremy, it was just like he bottomed a Tamatoa, bottomed another Tamatoa, bottomed a Tamatoa, and he still won the game. I was just like, what am I watching? Like, what is going on right now?
We were talking to Kylie's, who he's our general manager and he's part of the SSG family and team, and he was explaining today, like, we had this big talk. I mean, it's still a continuous talk. He believes that the problem isn't the Tamatoas, isn't the Bell, it's Popsicle and Fortisphere, right?
Yep.
Agreed.
The fact that you
Agreed.
draw a card, it's insane, right? So he believes that that and others as well that they should errata it and just change it to where they don't draw, because you look at all the other spheres, you're not drawing a card with the other spheres.
Yeah.
Right?
That's literally what
maybe-
Mikey said, word for word, I think, earlier. Just get rid
I
of the
think I
draw
told it. I
effect.
think I said it to Kylie. I think I said it to Kylie. So that's
Yeah,
why
I
he
think
mentioned it too, but
I don't think you get rid of both, but I think you get rid of one. And
Or
I
you
think
know
it's
I think you
what?
get rid of
motivated.
both.
Or you
If you
Get
don't
rid of
feel like
both.
getting rid of them, just up their cost. Make it cost 2.
Two.
Even it, you believe it, like it's the same argument I have for Coil. Coil's a great card, but making it at 2 ink, it forces you to play it in a different way, in my opinion. At least when I play it, like I like to develop it later in the game, like when I'm on 5, where I can like utilize it right away.
Yeah.
Because usually when with blue, I want ramp on 2, and that's what I guess the way I like to play it. So it contradicts what I'm trying to do. So imagine if Popsicle was 2 ink, I think it would change the dynamic of the deck a little bit and make it a little different, not as crazy as it is now. Or of course, Flabbersham is still pretty crazy. Make it draw 1.
Yeah.
That would not be
Yeah.
bad either. Because 2, it's just crazy. If you don't answer it right away, Flabbersham runs away with the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, Gabe mentioned a good point in the chat there. Jeremy, I guess, talked about it, it being a 2-drop. So you're really not investing that much to get it on the board. You're not paying this like, really expensive card like a 4-drop location or something like that could get answered super easily. It's just a 2-cost card that you're inking. You're not playing it on 2. You're normally playing it on 3. So you at least can ink after, and you get immediate effect from that. Whether it hits or not, you're digging further down that deck to find some of those powerful cards. But then there's times where you hit that dime right off of turn 3 dime is insane. But yeah, no, it's a really cool deck, and it's a cool concept. I like when a team brings a different archetype, a different perspective than what you would expect. So I thought it was really cool for them to bring this deck. Brian, you want to add anything? I know you didn't say anything yet.
It's a smaller problem, or to a lesser degree, Belle being a 3-cost that can obviously just sack the item, play it, and she can sing 8 of your removal spells. That can be, I think, people are finding that a little bit oppressive too. So
I think a cool errata to Belle would be to give her the what's the can't sing like clause.
okay.
The ability, I forgot what it's
I
called.
know what you're talking about.
I think it's on
Then
Ariel.
she wouldn't be played. She wouldn't be played at that point.
I don't think so. I think she still would be. I mean, she's a 3/3 on 1.
She could have been a 2-drop as well, like 2
Yeah.
ink instead of 3.
Yeah,
That would
that'd be
have
good.
definitely made her a lot more balanced. Just because
Keep everything the same.
in this deck, if you go turn 1 Bell, the Bell protects the Oswald, right?
Yep.
So even if you develop Oswald, they're not gonna, unless they have the kill spell. Pretty much that 3/3 is just gonna control the board while letting
Sure.
Oswald do what it needs to do, and buys you a lot more time, right? It's just too consistent. There wasn't a game where I played against Blue Steel where they did not have it every turn 1.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I know you mentioned Kylie. I pulled his deck list up as well. Having an incredible day as well, making top 8 in a stacked field. I think Green Steel was an incredible choice as well. I know obviously John on our team plays this deck list, or pretty close to this exact deck, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he mentioned like Green Steel is going to be really good because Blue is moving to a Quill build, so discarding those last couple cards can just be backbreaking. And Kylie took advantage of that. That Pete is no joke. That 6-cost Pete is no joke, man.
Insane.
He didn't believe. He didn't believe in it at first.
How's Hector?
But-
Oh, really?
That's
yeah. I told him you need to try this card. He's like, no. And then he added him in, and every game was like, bro, this Pete, you shifted on 4, and he just wins you the game.
Yeah,
On the spot.
Yeah, and Gabe's mentioning in the chat too. I see that I guess SSG's had a few issues from their team on stream, and Kylie broke that curse.
And that was awesome, bro. I
I
don't know how many people got to watch his match, but I think a large chunk of us were grouped up on the main side where the TV
screen was.
Yeah, where the screen was, and everybody's watching. Then he swung in with the Pete, and then like basically got him the win and like secured his victory. And everybody's like, yeah, and like popped off and walked around, go congratulate him. So that was a really cool moment there too.
Which was really cool for us, at least as a store, and even myself. Kylie, he's obviously the general manager, so he doesn't have enough time to put in the reps as someone else can, right? So he's very passionate about the game. Forget about the game, Disney itself. I mean, he's diehard fan. So the fact that he was able and he was running on literally 2-3 hours of sleep. I'm not even kidding with you, right? So the fact that he was able to place and do as well as he did, super proud of him, man. Like I want him to continue to be able to grind, but obviously growing the store and whatnot. So
he has
really well.
And this is not the first time. So usually we have like a little running joke where we provide the deck list, we just hand him the deck and he walks in and does his thing, right? It's happened several times. A good example, we went to a set champs before July when we went to the Dallas DLC, and he showed up. He's like, yo, do you have the deck list? I gave him card for card my deck list, right? I scratched out the name, he put his name, took the list, he makes top 4. And then we're going to Dallas. Yo, you got the deck list? We give him the deck list. Man just goes in, destroys the competition, and it's just like a
Top
thing.
32. Top 32.
But you have to have a certain skill cap and understanding of the game to just not practice at all. Just pick up a deck, see the card, say, "Oh, this synergizes. Let's go ahead and destroy everyone."
And I mean that says a lot about you too, Hector, right? Like he's obviously putting faith in your deck building skills and just going with whatever that is. No matter what color it is, he knows that you've done the research, you've done the play testing to know, all right, this deck is good, you can play this. This is probably your play style without even having to look at the 60. I mean, he probably skims through the cards, said, all right, here we go. I think in one of my games at the middle of the day on Saturday, because I played Kylie towards the end of the day, I don't think he realized that Pete even did what Pete did. Because I went to sing a song and I didn't know what Pete did. He's like, "Oh man, you weren't supposed to be able to sing that song last turn." And I was like, "Oh, I had no idea," So it's again, it's just it's a testament to you and what you do for your team. So it's just cool to see that you guys have that kind of relationship to where he'll just trust whatever you say.
I'm gonna give him a starter deck next.
You're still top 4.
So really quick, I know that that especially coming. I want to dive in a little bit more, Hector, right? So when you suggested this, especially Pete, right? Can you go ahead and just explain a little bit to everybody why this particular addition to the deck is so good?
Because so before I get into that, the reason why I told him that I thought Green Steel would be good for him, because this is kind of his play style, right? Based on what throughout the time that we've known each other and we play, this was kind of his play style. So I figured, hey, try this out. As soon as the Pete came out, I thought it was a great card to add just because if everyone's playing Blue Steel, like a shift Pete, you prevent them from singing. And on top of that, even if let's say they don't have the song, he's just turn 4, 5/5 will resist 1, right? So it's kind of hard to remove it. Like there's times where it's brought out to the board and you trade 2-3 things into it, and if you don't have a removal, he just sticks there and he kind of gives you like an edge, right? And you pair that with Diablo drawing cards, Pete locking the game down, and it's extremely hard to break the board. So I thought it was just a great card. And at worst, it's inkable, which makes it great. If it was uninkable, now you have to consider the space in the deck, but I don't see any drawback. At worst, you play 4 of, you make it consistent. At worst, you ink it if you don't need it at the time. And on top of that, he shifts on morph as well, right? So you have several targets to shift them onto, which makes it a little more consistent as well. So I thought it was just a great call. And of course, like someone mentioned here down in South Florida, a lot of people love to play aggro, Amber Steel. I think it gives you a little edge if you bring them out, them not being able to play songs, and the resist is a big deal, really big deal.
I think what we talked about with like Blue Steel and stuff is one of the things that makes Lorcana, like one of the most broken things in Lorcana is cheating out cards for free. And singing is one of those abilities that like you can just sing a storm, sing a strength, sing all these different removal spells. And the mana efficiency of that is just through the roof. And then you also develop 2 or 3 other characters, like singing a whole new world and drawing 7 cards and then playing 4 more cards. Like it's an insane ability to do. So now you throw that onto Pete. Now these decks that are leveraging singing have to use their mana to remove Pete before they can start to sing. Throws off sequencing and stuff like that, which is also super important in this game. Hector comments on my sequencing all the time. And so I think it's like one of those things where he's just this tricky spot where like even Mikey's just like he knows so much about the game, and you're just like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Like the fact that he's exerted, I can't say in a card. Like there's so many things that he checks, and then his regular card, just the 3-cost Pete, like both of those cards in this deck just make the sequencing of what your game plan is to combat what is already happening with the green steel discard package. I think is just so versatile and so hard to play around.
Yeah, imagine on the play, Pete on 3, regular Pete on 3, right? So you already turn off their, let's say there's songs that could probably like level the game and get them back into the game, and then shift Pete on 4, like it could disrupt your deck quite a bit.
And can I just say something quick? We're not even mentioning that it's not just him that gets resist one; it's your pirate characters, right?
Yep.
It's Smee.
Look at Smee. Having Smee not take damage is crazy. It's such a
he makes math so hard when he doesn't have that damage on it.
Yeah, but I lost a game like that. I
remember.
Like that
I was watching.
Person on stream, of course. As we speak, I'm contacting the SSG rep because we're gonna cleanse that room because that stream is. Let me tell you, that stream is cursed. But it does make I had a super goof in hand, and he had a Smee, and I thought, okay, well, he's gonna swing with Smee. I'm gonna super goof it, and then the super goof contest the board. But he went ahead and played a second Smee, and then used his last ink to play a Captain Hook. When I saw that Captain Hook, I was like, well, thank God I won one game, so I don't give away a case. But this is looking bad. That one damage makes such a difference, and you're right. That resist synergy with Smee is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, I mean, Kylie ended up finishing 5th place. It was an awesome run from him. So I obviously wanted to bring up this deck list because got to cheer for the hometown hero too. I do want to go over into Joey's list, and Joey, you can kind of talk to us about your day. I know the main event didn't perform as well as you wanted to, but at least you got to make some of it up. You played the same deck list in the side event as well, so go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so this deck, I kind of I made a previous version of it that I made a YouTube video on. I got a couple ideas from the Maelstrom Discord and Sailors list, and then kind of merged those two together to create what we have in front of you here. One of the biggest takeaways from this list from the weekend was replacing those Cuscos with Hideaways. He seemed really good in testing prior, but just being at 6 cost, it was just there was so much aggro in the room that it wasn't worth having that body late in the game. But here, just leveraging the Bell, leveraging the Scrooge, leveraging the new Tamatoa, playing a horde of items. I believe this listed 22 or 23 items. Unconventional Tool is one of my favorite cards to play with on the weekend and just in this set in general. Being able to pop it with a Bell or a Hiram to be able to pay 1 for a Fishbone Quill or a Maurice's Workshop was like the most just high value thing I've ever liked to do. Just all these different synergies of what we used to do in the red blue decks, but then you add Coil. Coil turns on your Sisus. Coil turns on your Medusas. Coil turns on every trade imaginable that's profitable. Your brawls are just insane. I was able to kill Maui Sharks with 1 ink with Medusas. Like, it was just super high value. It makes all the math way easier. The deck that ruined my run was Blue Steel. I lost to both of them. One was the Oswald version, and then the other was the aggro version. And the aggro version I had a good game into. It's just he won the die roll, and on game 1 and game 3, he just had the nuts, the god hand of Bell into Smee, into Pete, into Manor, just every single time. And then just followed up with Hiram, and it was just like you just couldn't keep up with the velocity. And I think I inked the Vitalosphere in game 3 when I knew I shouldn't have, and it ultimately lost me the game with not being able to rush out to kill the Manor. But when I got to the side event, like, the deck was just firing on all cylinders. I won a box in one side event, then did the high roll side event, and just played Mikey, and there were some insane comeback games. Like the deck just kind of popped off. The synergies of the items go hard, and
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That popped off on me. I was like,
And also too, keep in mind, that was the first major term. I mean, literally the next day, right? So you didn't have to really take the reps. So when you go into the event and then don't do as well as we planned, you go into the side events, you're able to get more reps, and like, okay, now I'm figuring this out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I did a lot of testing prior. Like we've been playing a ton the week prior,
yeah,
2 weeks
seriously.
prior.
Put a bunch
But
of the set
like,
already.
I think what was different about our testing and what happened on Saturday is you can't account for what other people are going to bring. You can't account for the Zans and Jeremys of the world to bring that type of deck. Like we were only able to test what we know and what we can think of. And so that's what I love about day zero tournaments like we've been doing here at SSG. It's just like, here's the meta. It's fresh. It's wild. Like bring what you think. Like you have Hector who's bringing something super consistent from last set and evolved it a little bit. You have Zan who's bringing the most off the wall brand new deck that you could think of, and everything in between. And so like it's just such a fun way to do. And we take this, and like you said, we have all these reps from high quality tournament play. Now we can refine this even further to find a different 60 to bring to locals into the next event that we might be having at SSG, or even whenever Ravensburger decides to drop DLC information.
Yeah.
Man.
It's I just realized why Joey says that Bell can take the singer thing away, because he doesn't play any songs that Bell can sing. So that's why he's lobbying for that. I just realized that as I was looking at the deck list, like you play Bell but no song, so who cares, right? No, it's definitely a cool archetype when it does pop off with the workshops and stuff. It's really cool. Have you ever thought about adding an Oswald to this?
I've been trying this week with not great success. I really don't. The uninkable count's a little high, so trying to figure out where to make my cuts in it. The first one that I thought of was the Be Prepared's, but obviously Be Prepared's so good. But
yeah,
it's just an awkward set on the curve, kind of like what Hector was talking about, where like on 2 is such a big thing in red blue, just trying to ramp. And like I'm playing Sail or Coil or 2 items and such like that. It's just a really awkward spot, and you lose a lot of momentum and tempo. And you don't have that song capability like the other Bell in Blue Steel has. So
you
like being able to,
You got teeth.
I was thinking about that today. I haven't put it on paper yet, but that's definitely up for consideration.
Don't add teeth to your deck. Don't add teeth to your deck, please.
Cash, how did you feel about Cusco? Because I feel like there's a lot of talk on Cusco being, like a lot of people are opting into him, and I see that you cut the B preps to 2, and your Sapphire coils are up to 4. I've seen a lot of other lists where it's a little bit less. So like, how do you feel about the Cuscos? Was he a major impact in a lot of your matches?
I mean, Cusco killed, I think, 8 manners on the weekend.
Oh, bro.
Like, it was insane. But like I was saying earlier, if that was a hideaway instead of a Cusco, I'm able to be more mana efficient and weave in a couple extra plays. There were a few games that I believe I had Cusco and like a Medusa, and I had 9 ink. And it was just like, oh, I can't do both. So I have to choose to use the Medusa to kill the thing, and I'll kill the location the next turn. And then they play another threat, and I'm like, oh, I have to remove that as well. And so then those locations just kind of build up, where it's like, if it's a hideaway, okay, 2 mana here, play a Sisu here, like, all right, now we're starting to do things. But like when you're having all these cards that cost so much in my removal suite, it just takes up so much.
Yeah.
It's a good list. It was a good showing, but I know it's going to be tuned more, right? Like it's a day zero deck. It's a new archetype too. Like, I mean, yeah, you could say it's just Ruby Sapphire. We've seen this before, but this is obviously a completely different archetype than what we've seen. So
the final games that you played against Wochuk in that 1st to 10 on Monday, you got like. We were talking obviously in our own group chat. We're like, oh no, Joey, it's not looking good for Joey. Chuck gets to 19. And I think it was 4 or 5 turns where you
5 turns.
Held him off at 19 and then stabilized in 1. And people in the chat, like everybody's popping off. It was really cool to see. I think there was like well over 100 people watching on Monday. And then just to kind of swing it back to the stream, at the 10 case consistently like 500-600 people tuning in, which was awesome to see just on like Twitch, I think. So super, super cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's awesome for sure. Just to give another Ruby Sapphire, like another look at a Ruby Sapphire deck, right? So here's what Hector brought last Saturday. Um, more of the shark build with the actions, a lot probably more consistent, I guess you could say. Not doing a whole lot of different things than what we've seen in the previous set, but keeping the good things, right? Like you added the Tamatoas and no Scrooges here. So just the Tamatoa really. Is that your only new card? And the coils. So tell us
Yeah.
about this deck, Hector.
So since I had so little time to test, as you notice, Thursday night we tested a little bit. I tested Blue Steel. I did not feel comfortable at all with it. So I kind of try to do like a mix, like a pile of cards where in the last few sets of the 10K, I took something similar to this, but I was playing 3 Hades. So I kind of stuck to what I liked. And I took something similar to this at Nationals as well. So I stuck to what I liked. I just shifted to try the new cards because the new Tamatoa is just insane, right? Late
Yep.
game is just
Mhm.
6 cost draw 2, or even with Batalisphere. So I just kind of added the cards for the new set to test. I wasn't too sold on Coil yet, so I just stuck with 2. I wasn't playing Dime before, so I just made a 61 with Dime. I really wanted to keep the Hades because I love the card, but I realized I had too many uninkables. Like my rule of thumb is I don't want to go over 14 because that number's cursed. So I went ahead and I took out the Hades, and I thought about it. You know what? I still want that removal to be able to answer the sharks because I realized there's no Maleficent Dragons. So I added 2 Let It Goes just to test it out. This was kind of like in theory like a test deck, which I'm eventually just going to keep refining the numbers until I find what I like. Someone online, when I posted the list, made a comment, said this deck is very bricky. You're playing too many of the 2-ofs, 1-ofs, and stuff like that. This is what I've been testing and what I liked. It was working for me. It doesn't mean it'll work for everyone, but based on what I tested, this was my preference. I tried it. It worked well. I don't think there were many games where I could say, I bricked and it went wrong. Just games got away. And this was the 61 that I liked. It worked out. I thought it covered a little bit of everything for the beginning of the meta. Now as it continues, I'll shift it to something more suitable, and that just fits my playstyle.
Yeah,
I
I
thought,
think
for example, the items, like too many items, I didn't like it. I didn't feel too comfortable just picking it up with all the items and just shifting the play mechanic. Like I said, not ramping on 2 to me was rough. So
In your list specifically, did you see the, I guess, coil? You probably never really looked to play coil on 2 for your list. Did you feel it was a little overrated in your list, whereas like with Joey's list, it was kind of mandatory to have?
yeah, that's why I tried 2, and then I cut the little Caesar to 2 because the uninkable count, and I didn't want to just tunnel vision into relying on playing coil on 2. And then because I've noticed there's some games that if your opponent opened up a very aggro start, double daisies or double questers, that even if you coil on 2 and you little Caesar on 3, it stops one threat, but then you're behind. So I
Mhm.
opted out to
Mhm.
more. I rather ramp and then go into either Super Goof or Maui, and then I felt coil on when I'm at 4 ink was really good because I'll just coil ink brawl to answer something, and it was better that way for me. The reason why I wasn't too sold on coil just because it's relying on you inking a card, right? There's
Yeah.
times in this deck where I could sit at 6 ink, maybe 7 ink, and just tough it out with the cards I have to because I don't really need to ink, and then it was just too reliant on just inking, and I didn't feel comfortable in some scenarios where I caught myself like just keeping the hand, and it just wasn't viable at the time.
Yeah.
So that's
I
why.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think leading on that part about the needing to ink, I've seen in Jeremy's list and Zan, and then as well as Chad's on Tuesday night, one of the cards that really stuck out to me was Greatstone Dragon.
Yes,
Being able
agreed.
to just like consistently every turn, it is an ink no matter what, because the card density that you are playing and the removal and the trading that you're doing just in challenging, you always have a character in your graveyard. You always have a plethora of cards in your graveyard. And so like when I was watching those on stream and just like, oh, cool, I have 2 coils out, tap Greatstone Dragon, grab this out, and just ink, and now I'm not losing that extra card from my hand. Like, I was floored. I was like, if this card didn't come in tapped, like, it would definitely be like the all-star ramping card. But every list just runs that one of, and whenever you can just like sequence it in real slyly, like, it just pops off. Like, I know Mikey has won so many games because of a Greatstone Dragon.
Yep, it's a good card for sure. Devin, anything you want to add to this Ruby Sapphire list from the team captain at SSG there?
So, yeah, so what I wanted to say is, because going back to Hector, where a lot of, talking about dropping a coil on turn 2, right? So I've been really hyper focusing on blue ever since I've started, right, playing this game. I mean, Oswald's what got me into the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the reality is like, I transitioned to like a blurple player prior to this, and it feels mandatory on 2 to either play Sail or Tipu, right?
Yep.
And you like being forced. It just it just feels weird to me. Like I feel out of place when I'm transitioning, trying to play other things on 2, because what I'm playing now. Right, there's arguments to be like what lines to play, and I'm not even to get what I'm getting playing now, but I'm hyper focusing on that as well. And it is a blue iteration. Not playing a ramp on turn 2 feels so weird to me. So I can agree with Hector, and that could just throw off the whole game. And then it's like almost like not going a flav on turn 4, right? It just feels weird. So I could agree to not having it in hand and not playing it, right? So.
It's more so, I think, before the set came out, right? We had R&B making posts. Oh my goodness, this Sapphire Coil is going to be so broken. Other people's the doom and gloom of Sapphire Coil, but I feel most of the time you're not trying to play it on curve. It's going to be at a later stage in the game, and not to say it's overrated, but I didn't feel that Sapphire Coil itself was as oppressive as people were making it out to be. I think it's a great card, but I think we have found other issues at hand. I think it'll see play. I don't know that we're gonna really ever push for, like, before the set came out, where people were like, ban it now, don't even let it release, whatever.
On the contrary,
I think it's good.
On the contrary, that's what you said. I'm so sorry to cut you off. When you're playing against late game and you have they have 2 to 3 coils out, and you're trying to develop a board, and all of a sudden,
it's
well, this the new mannerisms right now is a coil trigger, and it's just like you already lost the game at that point.
Bro, sequencing coils is so difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's really hard. Let me minus your character 6/6 for 3 ink.
Of course, I agree with you guys there. That of course there's going to be games where I've seen it happen, where they minus your shark to 1 and then little Sisu kills it. I think that's great. I just, like I said, I don't like the fact that on 2 I'm playing that. A lot of the early lists were settling on like Gaston and Coil, right? Where people would say, "Oh, Gaston on 2, Coil on 3," and you could answer everything on the board. But I don't think is as like it doesn't secure the game for you, right? Like nowadays,
you're not ramping.
Now, exactly. So nowadays, everybody's turn 1 bell, and then the moment I go Gaston, they're gonna be like Storm, and then I'm just gonna go cry.
Yep.
So I just don't think it seals the game for you as much as I rather ramp, and I feel more comfortable playing it when I have 4 ink, and then I'll do the turn there. And it just brings you, obviously, the longer it stays on the board, the more value it brings you, which is great.
for sure.
But it could get your hand kind of low at certain points.
Yep, absolutely. No, I agree. I think it obviously was consistent. You got top 16 with it. Had a good day with it. I know that's not where you want to be, but it's still a good showing in a 136 player tournament. Being top 16 is very respectable. So I'm gonna go ahead and I guess I could talk about Brian's for a second. I know Brian.
There's nothing to talk about. I loved the testing, and at the beginning when we first started testing before, leading up to set release, I had so much success with the deck. It was a green blue list, and absolutely loved it. I don't think there was like 1 or 2 days where I didn't drop a single game against Joey. And then obviously as he developed his deck more and more, things started to even out. I thought I had game into just about everything. And first round, played against Blue Steel, and I beat it. And I was like, awesome. Unbeknownst to me, that Blue Steel player wasn't doing what all the other Blue Steel players were really getting to do. So I kind of lucked out, played Blue Steel again round 2 and lost, and from there it was just downhill. But side events were great. I think I got to play in a side event with Devin. Unfortunately, we didn't get to meet each other in the finals. I got to play against God, who was it? Eddie? Yeah, Eddie in the finals.
Oh, Eddie, yeah, from Illuminati, yeah,
from
absolutely.
Illuminati.
Lorcanonum.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I'll go over mine. We got a couple more deck lists, and then we got something else to share with you guys. So hang in there. We have one more big announcement we're going to get to towards the end here. I'll go through the Blurple list I brought on last Saturday. Tested a ton. Like Joey mentioned, we played a ton of games, and as I kind of slowly started going closer and closer to a set 6 deck, it felt better and more consistent. This is where I landed. I felt like I had a lot of game into a lot of different decks. Wasn't expecting the Oswald deck, and I will say I don't think the matchup is very good for Blurple into the Oswald deck because you don't have a lot of interaction that's going to stop them from being able to do their thing. So yeah, that matchup could be pretty bad. I think normal blue steel is manageable, especially with Bell. Bell on turn 1 to friends and to like swinging Bell and shifting her is really good against blue steel because you can normally take out a Calhoun that way. Yeah, so I just kind of took from the new set the idea of playing Popsicle on 1, getting a Bell down, and being able to sing friends, and still keeping the ramp. I think I missed ramp 1 game out of the whatever 20 something games I played with only 3 sales instead of 4 and 4 because you are seeing a lot of cards. I will say think I have the numbers somewhere, but out of all the games, I think I missed Bell on turn 1 like twice out of all the games for the whole day, and a good percentage of that I find Popsicle first, and then play the Popsicle and draw the Bell off the Popsicle. That happened so often for me. Um, yeah, I mean the deck is fun. I think that it has taken a rung down on the tier list from where it was. I think that the rest of the meta is a little harder for Blurple to answer. It's doing some more unfair things, but it's still a playable deck for sure. Um, I ended up being, I think, 12th or something like that on the day. So it was still a respectable showing.
That's
Just
awesome, dude.
obviously, again, I had to play 2 green seals, which sucked. Wasn't anticipating that. Green steel, I think, is one of the worst matchups for Blurple. I lost the die roll twice. I beat one of the players mid game. He asked me, "Are you really a bounty?" And I said, "Yeah." Like I don't know why he asked me that because it was 1-1. We're going to game 3. So I guess his mind was thinking that he was gonna beat me or something. But I was like, I get to go first now. He went first both game 1 and game 2, and we went 1-1. And I was like, all right, now I get to go first. And I just kind of ran him over at that point. But I was just like kind of taken aback. Like, are you really a bounty? And I was like, yeah, I'm really a bounty.
Yeah, come catch these hands, man. You think I'm not? Come
Exactly.
catch these hands.
Exactly. And then a match with Kylie was great. Obviously, he has a lot of practice against Blurple, so I think he knows what to do a lot of the time. It's really hard to interact with them if they go Ursula on 3 on the draw. We don't have anything to do on the play. It's a lot more manageable. But no, I think the deck list is good, and I'd recommend people try it if you are wanting to try Blurple. Just know you're probably handicapping yourself a little bit because I don't think it's the best one of the top 2 tiers. I really don't. You could pick better decks for sure, but it is the most fun deck to play. I'll say that. Um, any questions from you guys on this before I want to add Devin's deck into here so we can talk about that one a little bit too.
Did you
'Cause it's
ever have any, like, how often did it come up the bell shift line where you belled on
very
one or, yeah?
Well, what happens a lot is the shift after like a more low to the ground deck where I can swing the smaller bell into something, and then shift it and heal. That happened a lot. And then late game having a lower costed bell available for me. If I had a popsicle sitting there the whole day or the whole match, and then all of a sudden I play this bell for free, and then I'm able to shift it, that happened a few times as well. Because again, I was almost always keeping popsicles, so I'd play them whenever I saw them because they're cycling cards anyways. And then at some point, I know I'm going to play a free character, and that free character either enables my Mim Dragon plays or enables that shift line cheaper. So if I saw that bell off the top, I could play that other bell for 3 if it's going to help me take out another character. So it's almost like a pseudo removal spell, right? So yeah, it was great for me. As much as I don't want to cut it, I don't think Elsa is good enough anymore. 8 cost Elsa. I think that you
Really?
probably have to play. I think you have to play 4 Hades.
Oh man.
I would agree with you. I
And
think just Hades is like that inherent removal. You ramp into Hades and you just remove everything there. Tamatoa. I love Hades. I was playing 3 myself. I think it's a great
yeah,
card and a blurple. Even you can loop it, right? It just becomes so obnoxious. But just Hades bounce is a tough
yeah.
line to break.
And
And
with Dime being so popular, Elsa doesn't stop anything from diming it, right? So I think that's what makes her a little worse. You'd rather just have the straight up removal, and I would almost play 4 Hades and a couple Let It Goes somewhere in there, so you just have that much removal.
I love
how
it.
did the Mim Dragon
I mean,
work for you?
I think it's still good. It's good as a one up. I wouldn't play any more than that. But again, the amount of times that I played a bell for free and then ship put a dragon on the board happens so often. And then also like having a bell out, bouncing it with a snake or a fox, and then playing it for free with the existing popsicle is also insane. You're just kind of like resetting the board there.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff like there's just not enough good items, I think, in these 2 colors. Like purple doesn't have that many good 1 cost items that you'd want to be popping for Bell. So that's why it's tier 2, I think. So hey, I wanted to pull up Devon's. We can talk about Devon's list too.
One more question.
Yeah.
I see that obviously you replace some of your 1 drops, like Diablo, just to play the line of the 4 bell. Like, would you say it kind of shifted the consistency of your deck as before you were open up, multiple 1 drops, and now if you open up bell, it has to be relying on you opening up one of your other items. So you could say it makes it a little harder for you to just open up with the consistent 1 drops, even though you said, never mind, you said that you opened up with bell almost every game. So
Yeah, and I mean, so the way I mulligan with the deck is I will throw everything back except 1 drops and ramp, right? So even if I find 1 drop, like one drop in my opening hand, before I mulligan and no ramp, I'm throwing all 6 back. So the chances of me running into more 1 drops is very high. Um, so even if I really only want 1 off the rip, unless I'm sailing into another. But there's so many times you kind of just go through that and you're already into your deeper stuff that the 1 drops are kind of not as relevant. And Popsicle being able to immediately draw is what you want your 1 drops to do anyways, especially in a blue steel meta where they're popping that bell and wanting to be able to storm something. Popsicle is like you'd rather play that over everything because now that makes their hand a little clunky. They don't have that thing they can storm right away. And then if you go sail into another popsicle into a bell, they're like, oh crap, now all I have is this 3T. If I sing, I'm gonna die. So no, I didn't notice it. I did think about playing a Diablos instead of brooms for that reason, because if it got blasted, I'd still draw a card.
Mhm.
But I just ultimately ended up playing the ones that I had in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So
because you'll notice when you go to my build, and that's the reason why I was surprised. Not surprised, but I prefer the Diablos over these other 1 drops because of that sole reason. But
yeah,
but yeah, like drawing into that popsicle, like immediately not giving them the satisfaction, not even satisfaction to play to pop one of your 1 drops, bro. Play testing in the beginning, it was an answer for everything. It was so obnoxious.
And not just into Blue Steel, but also Steel
Steel Song.
Song. Yeah.
Yep. Which I did play again. So yeah, and I will say this build is the best I've ever felt in the Steel Song. Obviously Steel Song took some hits, I think, from this set, but this build getting a bell out against Steel Song it is by far the best version, right? All right, so here we go. We got Devon's list here, loading up. So obviously Devon on a Blurple list as well. Devon, tell us about it.
So the only thing that was a little different is I took out 1 goat and I added 1 Let It Go.
Okay.
Now going to exactly what we were just talking about is I included the Diablos, but I took everything else out because I didn't include the library because when I was playing, I was feeling great. I mean, I was feeling great going into the. I'm excited, and then I played Blue Steel low to the ground against Jack, aka Ghosty, and the night before, biggest mistake. It threw me off, right? So that's when I immediately. He just had an answer. I couldn't win a game, so what I did was I ended up taking out all the 1-drops in the libraries, and I instantly added the popsicles for the bell line, just so I could go ahead and sing into friends because there's no better feeling going turn 2, singing to friends, playing, drawing into your TPO or going into your sale, right, to ramp. I loved 4 Hades and I loved 4 Elsas, right? I was able to, if it was too much uninkables, I was able to go with the TPO if it felt clunky. And then I liked opting into the 4 the bells, the shift bells, because of I just felt her again shifting and singing to me was just so important, even though it's just friends, right? And then being able to heal when I ran the 4 Elsas as well. So
Yep. No, it's definitely true. I will say I was just reading in chat here, Dingus Khan saying, "You guys, would you care to peek at my list? I really feel like it has a shot."
yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You could either send it to. I see you're on Twitch, so I'd probably won't be able to post the link on there because it'll probably immediately cancel it, just like the auto moderator there. But feel free to send it on Twitter or something like that, and we'll take a look at it for sure. No, it's very cool. Did you ever get the download out and have an impact on the game?
The only reason why I played Donald is in the event that I thought I was going to play against another some sort of purple build where I was
Okay.
and then we're neck and neck, and again going off of I had no idea. We had no idea. I didn't get to play test as much. You understand, like the reps, I couldn't do as much reps because I'm so busy, right?
Yeah, of course.
Especially playing in my own event. I'm going to be honest with you, like it's real. I love being able to interact with everybody and being a good host, and I love being hands-on and meeting everybody, but being able to focus is so tough just because I can't, 1 second something else is happening and other things happening, and I want to make sure that we have the continuity of giving the like white glove service. So like it was tough to focus, but the Donald Duck never came up, right? So that's why I was like, all right, it was cute, it was a little maybe gimmicky, but never came up.
Were you playing the Donald because he was enchanted?
I
would play him too. If I was playing purple, I would throw him in there just because Dark Magician Donald. It's over.
It really is Dark Magician Donald.
Yeah.
But
it was like, this Blue Steel. I mean, you just running into this stuff, and no one, and also the impact on Ana, right? I thought Ana was great. That's why I didn't run any crabs, because I was focusing on running, playing into Ana, and then utilizing the support mechanism rather than the crab. So I thought it would have been a little interesting, but it's just
it's definitely it is. I mean, and when you get new cards like this, that's what you want to do, right? You want to test with them and see, all right, where do I end up? Is this going to be good enough? Or is it not? And that's where these are the changes to try to do that. No, it's a really cool build for sure. I see you don't have the new Elsa in here because I agree with you. I think it's too hard to fit in when you have the 8-cost one that just kind of does what that does, but better. Both being shiftable. So, all right. Well, we do have a pretty big announcement. I know Stefan was going to try to hop on here and do this, but I'm actually going to pass it over to Devin to give the announcement. I have a little thumbnail here to help show it off, the logo. But here we go. Here's the next big thing going on at
you reading that?
SSG.
You reading that right, Hector?
Bro, I would like to say that I am on my phone, so the screen is extremely small. I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. This is the first time. It's 2025. I'm awaiting the computer, so to be honest, I can barely see it. I see 15 case charity. Oh, damn.
15
cases.
So let me explain something to you right now. First and foremost, shout out to all of the other stores and groups, teams, whatever you name it, who are stepping up, and not just stepping up, who are contributing to the same vision that we all share, right? This is all for the community. So like, as obviously as being, into sports and being competitive, you always want to be, kind of like at the top. But I will say that now I'm starting to see a lot of these other groups and stores starting to throw bigger events, right?
Yep.
Bigger pricing, right? And again, not to say, not to say that we started or anything. Or
No, you could say it. You
Fine,
can say
I
it.
will.
You can say it.
Go
You
ahead
can
and
say
say
it.
it.
You're amongst friends.
Say it with your chest.
All right. First
Yeah.
of all, let me talk a little bit, all right? And I'm going to say this in the most humbling way, all right? Finally, the community is stepping up and being able to do these prize support, the bigger prize support events, right? It's going to curate so many good players, and I don't think people understand that. But because of that, now we're stepping up. Initially, it was supposed to be a 10-case event, okay? And it is going to be on April the 5th, 10 a.m., and it's going to be a charity event. We're going to welcome our beautiful family. Peter Raimundo is going to be back.
Awesome.
And we're really excited for him to come back down and take a look how much we grew, right?
Yeah.
So originally this was supposed to be a 10-case event, right? So it now has bumped up to 15-case event. Okay.
I don't think I've heard of any bear or anybody else doing anything above 10.
Yeah.
Now we're jumping
Yeah.
straight to 15.
I love it.
Absolutely insane.
There's nothing negative from these tournaments because look, you got 15 cases. On top of that, you could play our 15 bounties and possibly win like a dryer, a microwave,
A
you name
Tesla
it.
if you're playing
You name it.
Hector.
A Tesla rocket. The stakes are high. Competition is great. All jokes aside, though, SSG raises the bar every single time,
Yep.
and it's like we're witnessing history in this game, right? We're in the early infancy of this game, but to have this high level tournament where you got some of the best players in the world traveling to play at these events, you got people watching from all over the world as well. It's a blessing to be part of it, and then
For sure.
by keeping the bar high, everyone else starting to raise the bar as well, which makes it even better for everybody in the community, right? So there's nothing but positivity here, and by the end of the year, who knows where we'll be, right?
ELC Margate.
By the end of the year, we're gonna own the plaza, and things are gonna be even better.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make sure we have cool, other stores as well to where synergize well. No, but add what Hector's saying, it's like, sky's the limit. And I know that you'll notice when we go ahead and if it's not already posted for entries, right, to be able to live. I don't think it's live yet, but they say it's maxed out at 150. So I'm just going to give you guys some insight right now. The reason why, for those of you who haven't been to the store to our last event, we have not only expanded, but we also we opened up the space to where it allows us to fit more table space, and it allows us to fit comfortably, right? So we put 150 as our cap. However, theoretically, we could fit 220 people, 228 to be exact, I believe. And the reason why I say that is because we are going to, we want to do it in a very professional way. But however, we're going to have a waiting list to make sure that we can have the accommodations to make sure everyone can play in this event, right? It's going to get to a point where, again, initially I was saying, and I am super grateful for everyone flying on, all these, big name players, shout out to all, to like Zan and his entire team, right? We're very grateful that they come, but at the same time, now it's to the point where, you got to come to these events, right? It's part of the accolades, right? And
Undeniable.
Yeah, and it's humbly saying that, and I'm not saying that in a way of, pompous. No, it's just that we have the resources that are put into this, the manpowers, the work, the judges, right? Like you got everyone who are so passionate about the events, in this game, to where you want to be a part of this. Listen, I'm telling you right now, if I wasn't as busy as I am being a store owner, this game is so good that I'm grinding this nonstop. This is a game to where you got to play. You want to play competitively, and this is the opportunity for a lot of players to really grind and be good. That's
Devin,
all.
do I have your permission to reveal the other secret? Just say it
I don't know what it is, but yeah, let's go
on
ahead.
stream.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you guys know, SSG is so great that in the future, I'm not saying maybe this tournament, maybe in the future tournaments, we're gonna be selling Cuban coffee.
Yes,
So
we are.
once that
Oh my
happens,
Oh,
God.
once that
People are gonna
happens,
be
Yeah, rico.
itching,
uh,
bro.
Bro.
once that happens, you don't even need to leave the shop. So
Yep.
we're gonna reel you in even more.
exactly.
The
All
people
jokes
Oh,
that are going to
aside,
come from out of Florida and have
I
that
have
are going to
no
be like,
idea.
this is so great. And then they're going to be like,
No,
why was
first
the
thing
whole
they're gonna
thing?
do, they're gonna look at the tiny little cup, be
I
Yeah.
want a
mad
double.
confused, and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let me get another," and then
Yeah.
30 minutes in, be like, "Yo, what did I just take?"
We're tweaking.
Yeah.
something else other than the jokes, something that you could say about SSG as well. When you go to a regular DLC, right, it's usually 2,000 man tournament, or let's say a low end one is 1,000, right? But let's say a 2,000 man tournament. Let's say you have to worry about 300 players, right? You could avoid some of these players until later in the event when you're doing extremely well, or high roll, whatever everyone likes to call it. But when let's say you come to SSG in such a compact tournament, you got a 140-man tournament, but what, 20% of the field, 30% of the field has won Golden Mickeys, is qualified for Worlds.
Yep.
Players have qualified for Nationals, so it's tough. And the mental fortitude you need to get through these tournaments is not easy. So everyone level up at these tournament. So
Yeah.
that's another thing that people don't see.
And I want to also say as well, like, speaking earlier to where a lot of, taking into consideration these top players, they really, maybe they don't see it, but not for whatever reason, but there's a lot of players that get a little intimidated playing against them for the first time. For whatever, I'm not going to say for whatever reason, because I do understand that, you know, coming into the space, you're playing against the most world-renowned players in this game. But like, again, not to sound pompous, but I played when we first had our major events and everyone, this exposure we're getting and everyone was coming. I'm talking about Zan, Bevins, everyone. I wanted my sponsor players to play them, so I said let's do some private, like little private matches, right? Competitively. And during that time, I'm like, let me play you guys. I don't have the most experience and exposure playing this game and the most repetition as everyone else, but I come from other card games, right? I got a gauntlet, right? I don't know if you guys, some of you know, but I played against Bevins, I played against Zan, and first of all, they're gentlemen, they're super cool. Shout out to both of them, man, and that whole team. But there's games where I beat them, and once you are able to understand that there's variance in this game, there's a lot to it. It's not an auto loss, right? It's about matchups. It's about of winning die rolls. It's about capitalizing on some of the mistakes they make because they are humans, right? So once you get that, it's the whole point is getting the experience, getting the butterflies out of your system, and understand that you have the ability to play again, to compete with the top of the top players. It's not like it's chess, right? Chess is a little different. There's no variance involved, right? So like that's the whole point of running these type of events, to where you can sit across the table from the world, a world's invite player, and you could compete with them, so
Without having to go to a official DLC.
yeah.
This is essentially almost every single month thus far. You guys have put on a top tier event, and if it continues down this road, like we're going to see more and more top level players show up, and then all these top level players playing other folks that show up as well. They're just going to continue to level up. And once the DLCs finally kick off again, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, I can maybe skim by my first 3-4 rounds. I can dodge, the super competitive players. It's going to be a grind. All 7, 8, 9 rounds, whatever it is, of just death match after death match. And these people, I think by the time DLCs finally get announced, with all the passionate people that are continuously playing the game, from the time from nationals to whenever this next DLC is, the competitive field is going to be leaps and bounds above what it was previously.
Well, I will say this. You did bring up a good point when you said, oh, they have experience, against these well-known players, and the top players are going to attract more. We also have to take in consideration the players that we're curating, right? I mean, our locals are crazy.
Crazy.
Have some players that even if they're not there yet, they're going to be some well-known players in the scene. Again, coming from, I keep that's not redundant, coming from the poker world. I don't know if you guys know poker well, but some of the most well-renowned players, in these games, like I can't imagine like watching the come up with them. Right? It's super cool. We're watching the development of some of the who could arguably be the best players in the world. Right? They just need the exposure and the recognition. That's all. And not too many DLCs. By them not announcing these DLCs, it's only a matter of time to where we start seeing some of the these shining stars start rising. So,
and then it's not only about them like player development, like at the same time they develop like their mental capabilities and their courage as well to say, I'm going to take the leap, right? The DLCs are coming, I'm going to take the leap, I'm going to make it to this next big event, because they're already experiencing like higher level play, right? Some people might have like some sort of block of where they're scared of the competition or for whatever it may be, right? So just being put into this environment can really help you get there, right? And once you break the first DLC, you're going to see how fun it is, how great it is, and you're just going to keep on doing it, right? So it helps quite a bit. Also, our local players, like, not to toot our own horn, but a lot of our players, after they started, like, they're consistently performing in set champs, right?
Yep.
I know set champs is not the same as how they used to be before, but a lot of them are performing, winning mats, and that makes you feel proud, right? Like, we all play under the same roof, and everybody's leveling up. I mean, to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I went 0-2 at a tournament, and I did it at SSG. I started 0-2. I was like, well, I guess I'm going home early.
Yeah. And
So
to add to that as well, one more thing to want to add to Hector is one thing I want a lot of players to start understanding is like recognizing that when you have exposure to like these well-known players, especially for example Hector, man, Hector can be one of the most nicest, especially everyone in here is the most nice, amazing individuals there are. But if you go and talk to our team, everyone in this room right now, along with all of our sponsored players, you can learn from them. They're welcoming. They're so passionate. They want they want to engage with everyone and be able to teach, not just teach, but spread their knowledge, spread their insight. And we want more interactions like that, because it's very good for the game where the top players are able to present themselves as not being intimidating to approach, right? And they're willing
to be honest, I kind of disagree, because these guys didn't want me on their podcast. They kept promising it. They kept promising that they're going to put me on this podcast. It took them 2 years.
No. See,
I don't know
it
if
was,
they're nice or not.
You were just too intimidating, and we didn't know how to approach you correctly.
Your TikTok formatted video speaks for itself.
Scared us off.
We were hoping you'd have a computer before we had you on, but we just couldn't wait any longer. We had to get you on for sure. But I just to piggyback on what Devin's saying, it's an absolute pleasure to have these insane minds of the community that we are so fortunate to have in South Florida, that are all accessible. People like, like you mentioned, the people in this room, and it's true, but your Wochucks, your Ghosties, your Rays, all the sponsored SSG guys, and then a lot of the locals as well. And I do want to shout out, just going through the poster again, it is a 15K charity event, but also your top 8 is getting a Continentals promo Cusco, right? So that's the non-foil one. I mean, it's an incredible thing. And like, if I've learned anything, there's always stuff going on at SSG, no matter what the event is. So it is a destination that you need to make if you are a Lorcana player. I would love to see you at this one, and obviously pretty much every month, like we mentioned, there's stuff coming all the time right down the pipe. And I do want to shout out, from a production standpoint, it does keep leveling up, right? And I know the investment in the store, the drywall, and all the changes and stuff that have happened there, externally, but internally, your commentating team, your streaming setup that Stefan ran, just the artwork that we're having that's done on this graphic from Ray. I mean, it's everything. Everything is bar going up. So you better grab on, right? The rocket ship's taking off. So grab a hold, right?
Yeah, we appreciate that, the recognition for that, because the team and everything that goes into this is absolutely, there's a lot of man hours, a lot of passion. But
Yeah.
one more thing about the event I want to speak of. I'm so sorry if you took that
No.
because I want to. I think
No.
it's very.
Okay.
I think everybody should understand what it is and why we're hosting this event and who's attending. Right. So first and foremost, again, shout out to Peter Raimundo, gentleman. I wish I could see him more. He's such a he's a blessed man. And he's going to be able to again sign some of the most prominent works that he's curated. However, so again, the proceeds a lot of it's going to go be broken down into three ways, right? First and foremost, 33% of the proceeds are going to go to a charity of Peter Raimundo's choice. The other 33% is going to go be in favor to the individual who does win the event. They get to decide who, what charity of their choice. And if they don't know much about charities, we'll have the ability to post many different charities that are available out there, and we'll give more information on that. Lastly, it's going to be us as well. The 33% of the proceeds are going to go to a charity of our choice and what our team wants to decide to give to. Right? We want to just give back to everyone. All right. Now, as it relates to other events that are going to go on during this event, right? We're going to have a lot more side events. I know that you guys were speaking earlier about some of the crazy shenanigans that are going on. We're going to have a lot more of that. We're going to have some more unique events as well, not just, about just to get, sealed product. It's going to be a lot of really cool items that we have been sourcing out. And then we're also going to have like I said, more opportunities for that as well, right? Now, if we do exceed, like I said, we're the point where if we do exceed expectations, where there's over the cap and there's a waiting list, and we do open that up, then there will be more additional pricing adding, right? So again, that's what we do. We just want it to be bigger and bigger.
I know you're
I would
saying
like
that
to.
very casually, like kind of on the side, like, oh, if we go over cap, throw some additional pricing. It's not just going to be like a little. There's
It's gonna
always,
be a Tesla.
yeah. Devin's version of like, oh, a little pricing is an entire store's like yearly whatever set aside that they have for pricing. So
I would like to add as well. I don't know if the flyer mentions it, but I believe the top 8 promos are gonna be altered by Peter Raimundo with
Yes.
some sort of like art. So it's not just gonna be
Cool.
the Cusco promo. I believe he's gonna be making like custom art on these Cuscos, so it gives it a little bit more value as a nice little memorabilia to have. It's not just the basic Cusco, you could just get online.
Yeah, and signups go live tomorrow at 8 p.m. and Melee links were posted in both chats. I see Stefan saying donate to SSG after this event. We're gonna need it. That's funny.
Yes, come raise my blood pressure. Take some cases from me.
Yep.
Make me have to do extra labor to clean the shop because I gave away too much price for it.
I have to say this is something that I've never gotten the chance to play in. Something of this setup, right, where you're being able to donate it to a charity of your choice. It gives you like a sense of not just self pride, but just the motivation for like, because my mind starts ticking like when you're like, all right, if you do win this, whatever proceeds that you're gonna get, where would it go? And dude, the first thing my mind goes to is like my grandpa struggles with Parkinson's, right? And like I would love to donate a charity for that, right, for Parkinson's, and that motivates me, dude. It's like, all right, that I want to make this happen. Like that, let's start testing and let's figure it out. And we need these kind of events. We need motivating things in the scene to create innovation. It makes it so we're not stagnant, right? Everybody's like, oh, boo-hoo, blue steel, but let's find something that beats the blue steel so that we can shake it up a little bit. But man, I can't say enough good things about what you're doing, Devin, and we're just blessed to be a part of it. And you have been setting the bar, like you said. The other events are starting to try to keep up, but you're starting to lap people a little bit. So we'll have to see what happens, right?
If it wasn't for Hector specifically and the team, these events would be a little bit more crazier and it would get out of hand. I'm telling you right now.
I have to call, bro. I have to set up weekly meetings with the accountant, the CFO, Kylie, Stefan, because every time I step away from the shop more than 24 hours, they add another box to the pot, bro. It's stressful.
The thing is this, right? I mean, just so because I got a lot of people coming up to me at an event, like saying some crazy things to me. Oh, hey, you guys can't be profiting from this. Well, And I don't know, like that. This could be a topic for a conversation another time because I think it's really important too, to where this could give the players or the consumers who even are interested to understand the dynamics of something like this. It's complex, but it's very simple, right? It's simple. I don't want to sound cliche, but it's like business 101, right? Like the reality is, it just makes us work harder. My team and I go source out different ways to bring in income to where we can host these events for everyone, right? The cool thing is that it just goes right back into the business, right? For the long term. And that's why we're going to have a healthy, sustainable, economy within, because it keeps going back in. It's going to grow and grow. And that's how we could be doing these bigger events, because it just goes right back in. It's compound, right? So, yeah.
At the end of the day, we profit in our hearts.
That's all.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think that pretty much buttons up our recap of the SSG event and what SSG has coming down the pipe. Set 7's exciting. There's a lot more that we're finding out about it, so that'll be a cool thing as well. If you guys any of the listeners here are in the Raleigh area, Brian and I are playing in a 6K tournament tomorrow. You can see I'm in a hotel room setting because I am. Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mind is already gone.
And I was going to say something after, like the influence that you guys are having. I'm in North Carolina, right? So I think this is the biggest tournament that I've seen hosted here in this state, and it's a 6 case. The only stipulation is that it's set 6 and not set 7.
I'm surprised they're playing. Like they're playing sets. It's like 7's legal. They're just giving away prizing.
No. They're giving away all the prizing.
All
the cases are set 7, but you have to play set 6 decks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Purple gang, baby. That's when
exactly.
I want to play.
Exactly. So I was like, I know my 60. It's like, oh, I'm good. I know what I'm playing at least.
Yeah.
So we'll be at that. So if you guys see us, we may be debuting a new shirt. So yeah, we'll meet Brian and I will be out there. So.
I just got the text that the first test prototypes are done. I'll go pick them up in the morning. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and then
those would be cool.
For any of you guys that watch the ICL, I'll be casting next Monday, so that'll be pretty fun. It'll be round 3, and I think one of our locals might be playing for one of the teams there.
Yes.
So definitely tune in on Monday for the Illumineers Champion League.
Oh, is that Chuck's team playing Monday? Are you trying not to give away that he's playing Monday?
I'm trying not to give too much away, but it is not. It is not Chuck.
My pride and joy just woke up, so
I
wow.
Future Lorcana champion at 5 years old, right here.
There you go. Love it. We love it.
Say hi, Mama. Hi.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank God she looks like her mother, huh?
She got her mother's looks, but the Hector's brain. It's okay. We got the flowing strategies going already. Look at that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I think we'll probably sign it off there. Appreciate you all. Devin, Hector, thank you guys for joining us as guest appearances. This will obviously be uploaded on YouTube as well, and we'll be uploading it through the Southside Gaming socials as well. But other than that, guys, take off. Or we're going to take off. See you later.
See you guys in 2027 podcast.
2020.